That is a huge number. And if you had to guess, Zach, around what percentage do you think can support Apple Intelligence right now, what do you think that percentage would be?
Not to geek out, Gabe, I did make a spreadsheet after Apple's last Q1 earnings, and I was breaking it down by device category, but I can't remember the number off the top of my head.
It's less than 10%. So the products that can support Apple Intelligence right now are the 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max, and that's pretty much it. Now they are obviously going to have new devices here in the near future, whenever, obviously probably the 16 that will be able to support it also, but it's a very, very small percentage of their users right now who can take advantage of this new functionality that's going to be rolled out as part of iOS 18, and then even further down the road with the integration with ChatGPT later in the year. So if you've got less than 10% of your customers that can take advantage of it, that means that over 90% of your customers cannot. That's 1.31 billion iPhones that cannot support it. They will need to upgrade in order to be able to leverage Apple Intelligence. So I was just trying to think of rough numbers. So if 10% of those people upgraded their phone at an average sale price of roughly $1,000, which I think is pretty accurate based on what we've seen for people getting charged for iPhones in the past. That's $131 billion in new revenue, iPhone revenue for Apple. It's a pretty gigantic number.
And I have two thoughts on this. One, I'm very glad I got the 15 Pro Max last year. Otherwise, I would be missing out. But I've had this conversation with 3 people in the past 2 days, and that may not sound like a big, statistically relevant number, but I don't go around talking about iOS 18 and WWDC to just anybody. But of the 3 people I talked to, nobody had an iPhone 15 Pro or newer except for myself. But everyone was like, I'm considering upgrading just to take advantage of this Apple AI. Apple Intelligence. Got to get the name right. But I think it's interesting that they've come out with this feature, because typically, every year they come out with a new phone. It's like, oh, there's a new camera, there's a new this, there's a new that. But it seems like this AI is going to potentially be a pivotal moment for the iPhone.
I agree, and especially because the iPhone revenue has actually dropped. It went down from 2022 to 2023. So it's still a monster number. So just for context, iPhone revenue was $200 billion in 2023. That was actually a 3% drop year over year. But going back to that rough math I did, even if 10% of those customers who have an older version of an iPhone upgrade, that's $131 billion in revenue, just if 10% upgrade. And I will be upgrading to a new phone to take advantage of these new features. I will be in that 10%. And I suspect 10% is probably a floor. Like, I think that's a very conservative assumption of the number of people that will upgrade to be able to take full advantage of all of this new functionality. And it just, to me, it speaks to something that's so important in business, which is having a really deep understanding of your customers, so that as you're bringing new solutions to market, you can make sure that it's hitting that sweet spot of what it is that they need, and give you an opportunity to drive incremental revenue, drive upsell from those customers.
And one thing to keep in mind here, Gabe, and this goes back to another one of the conversations I had with a friend, was, okay, cool, now he's got to get a new iPhone, but now he has to get a new MacBook, because he's got this outdated MacBook that can't take advantage. I think you have to have like the Apple Silicon M1 and up chips. Don't
Correct.
quote me on that. But you need the Apple Silicon chip. So now, you need the new iPhone, you need the new MacBook. Maybe you want to throw an iPad in on that mix as well.